So the CDC has now officially confirmed that the bird flu has likely mutated inside of a patient in Louisiana, making it more transmissible. That is a huge, huge concern. This is why the CDC and many health experts are now officially concerned that this is spreading, and we don't have a handle on it just yet. I'm going to explain more on this in just a moment, what is going on, what we've seen in states like Hawaii, California, and beyond, and what is coming for Donald Trump. So I'll explain all this in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So let's get right down to it. Just look at this. It says, bird flu virus in Louisiana patient likely mutated to be more transmissible. That is according to the CDC. Now, I want you to hear it. I want you to see for yourself what is actually happening. Look at this right here.
Tonight, the Centers for Disease Control finding potentially concerning new mutations in the bird flu from a patient recently hospitalized with a serious case of the virus.
The CDC found that this version of the virus had additional mutations that made it attach to upper airway cells more easily, hinting at a better ability to infect people. That being said, this was only found in the individual that was sick, and there's no reason to believe that this version of the virus is spread more broadly.
But
right there. So it makes it more transmissible, okay? It attaches itself to the upper respiratory system. That right there is, we've heard it before. Remember, we just went through COVID, okay? So this potential pandemic is concerning. It's alarming to say the least. Now, said right there at the end that this isn't something that is spreading more broadly, okay? It's concerning right now because this has only been detected in one person. But listen to the rest of this and you'll see why experts are extremely concerned. Let's keep listening.
The agency making it clear that the risk to the general public has not changed and remains low. The CDC has confirmed at least 65 cases of bird flu in people in the U.S. this year.
Now, 65 cases in people this year, mainly from people that have worked on farms and pretty much handling poultry every single day, okay? That's probably not you, but there's something else that's even more alarming that an expert that I recently talked to said to me. This is why I'm giving you these updates. Let's keep listening.
They're monitoring more than 10,000 exposures, but they've only tested 530. What does that mean? That means we're not testing enough. And we know from other viruses that a lot of the spread can be asymptomatic.
For now, the greatest risk may be to animals.
Right there. The greatest risk may be to animals. Now, I want to read you this as well, okay? Because this is where things are troubling. This is where things are getting out of hand. Look at this right here. It says, the unidentified patient who was hospitalized with serious respiratory symptoms is believed to have contracted bird flu from exposure to sick and dead birds in a backyard flock. Okay? So, here's where I talked to a friend of mine. And when I talked to him the last time, I didn't really think too much of this, but I went back to our conversation. And this is what he said. So I wouldn't call him a disease expert, but he's in that field. Okay? He does research. So in my opinion, he's an expert, but technically for him, he says he's not. I asked him, how close are we to human transmission? This is his response. He said, and I quote, "It's not about how close we are necessarily. Let me paint you this picture. You have a flock of infected birds that are flying overhead and they poop, or they decide to land in your yard and relieve themselves there. Now, they have just left infected feces in your yard. Your dog sees it and decides he's going to eat it. From there, your dog now has been infected and you decide to play with your dog. Now you run the risk of getting infected, and so does everybody that your dog comes in contact with. Do you see why human-to-human transmission is not the only threat here? That's what he said. Again, keep this in mind. They're saying the greatest threat is to animals, not to humans. But again, where experts are deeply concerned is, yes, animals could get it, but as more and more animals get it, we've already seen poultry has gotten it, right? It's the bird flu. We've seen dolphins have gotten it. We've seen, house cats have gotten it just recently. Even here in the state of Washington, we've been seeing so many different reports. Even a wildlife sanctuary in Shelton, Washington, just recently, I think 20 of their animals died because of bird flu. So yes, it's in cats, but it's also in cattle, right? And we've also heard many reports that it's in dogs. So, and even pigs, and pigs have a very close, system like us humans. So again, that's where we're at. Now, I want to read you something else. Look at this right here. It says the CDC has stressed there has been no known transmission of the virus from the Louisiana patient to anyone else. That's good news. Okay, that's good news that this patient, and we don't know much about this patient other than it's likely a 65 or older person, just has a little bit of health problems. That's it. But it goes on to say, the agency said its findings about the mutations were concerning, but the risk to the general public from the outbreak has not changed and remains low. Keep this in mind, that the CDC is not going to come out and say, everybody quarantine, do not go anywhere, right? Stay in your homes if you're sick, right? Quarantine. They're not going to say that, because this is going to spread panic, especially when we are 23 days away from Donald Trump taking office from Inauguration Day. This is not the time to be spreading this fear, according to experts. Now, I want to show you something else. Look at this. It says, key warning signs about bird flu are all going in the wrong direction. It says this year has been marked by concerning developments in the virus's spread, including widespread detection in wastewater and mutations observed in the virus. The concern is that we are going to see this mutate. We don't know when. We don't know how deadly it's going to be, but what we have learned over the past couple of years is that the bird flu has a greater than 50% mortality rate. If a human being contracts this virus, you have a 50% mortality rate. That means 1 out of every 2 people are going to die. That's a problem. Now, how extreme is this? How severe is the spread? Well, we are getting a lot of detection in different states. The states are hit and miss, right? Some in Washington, some in California, some in New York and Chicago and Denver and Texas and Nevada, right? We're seeing all these different reports. But according to experts, if we test wastewater, because again, just like Dr. Deborah Birx said, a lot of these symptoms were asymptomatic. Okay, so people don't realize they have the virus, but it could continue to spread. And just like with COVID, if it continues to spread and it mutates and it changes, how are we supposed to have a vaccine that's going to fight against it? We won't. But look at this. It says, new bird flu spread patterns are revealed in wastewater. It says wastewater in several California cities, including San Francisco and Los Angeles, recently tested positive for bird flu. But understanding disease risk and exposure to humans isn't so straightforward. Keep in mind, this was back on October 14th that this article came out. Okay? Then now, just because it's over a month old doesn't matter. What matters is we are continuing to see these and monitor wastewater. That's where things could actually change. Look at this one. This is from November 13th. It says Hawaii reports first H5 avian flu detection in wastewater. Again, wastewater sampling, according to experts, is the way to go. We need to test more, and as we test more, we are going to get more insight. We're going to get more information that we can take to the American people, and we can help protect people without going into quarantine, without masking, right? Without sending out trillions of dollars in additional stimulus and funding so that everyone just stays home. We've been through this before. Nobody wants to sit in their home for just 2 weeks because, again, those 2 weeks balloon to 2 to 3 years. And that's not what the American people want. So we'll see what happens moving forward. All I can tell you right now is the H5N1 bird flu virus has mutated and it's making it more transmissible. So as we get more information on this, I promise I'll bring you all the latest news and updates. But that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.